Hey there, guys. So this week we've been taking a look at patterns of interactions. We've been taking a look at things like predator-prey relationships and competition, and then we were also taking a look at mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. So I'm going to talk about those a little bit today, hopefully clarify some of that for you, and then tomorrow we'll have some practice stuff for you. So you'll be able to take a look at some more of those relationships and kind of make some determinations as far as if those are helpful, harmful, or not, and kind of what we're seeing going on in those. So if you think about ways that you are connected to other organisms as a human, what kind of relationships do humans have with plants, with other animals, and those types of things. And we know as humans, we get food from plants, we can get food from other animals, we can provide food to animals, ticks and mosquitoes like to feed on our blood and those types of things. And then as social interactions with each other and with our pets. So first thing we're taking a look at, predators eating prey. So that would be predation, right? Or a predator-prey relationship. So that's one of those interactions in nature, just a part of life. Things like a platypus eating shellfish, worms, those types of things, or spiders eating other insects. Predators have to eat. So predator-prey relationships is the first interaction. Herbivores eating things, eating other plants. That is a relationship. Those plants are getting eaten. That helps out the herbivore. It's not very good for the plant, but that's kind of part of that relationship as well. So these populations of organisms depend on each other. And last week we took a look at food webs, and we could see how all those different populations were kind of interconnected and working together. So the base of our food web is our plants, or can be our protists, which are similar. But plants always make up that base of the food web. That's where their food's coming from. The sun's bringing in sunlight, and those plants are using that to make food, which other things then can eat. Some organisms are dependent on other living things for shelter or for protection. Birds living in trees, those types of things as well. Taking a look at competition. So with competition, we have two or more organisms fighting for a limited resource. And those limited resources could be things like maybe they're competing for food, water, territory, or mates. So the big thing with competition is that could be between two organisms of the same species, or it could be two organisms of different species, depending on what they're competing for. And also that resource needs to be limited. So air to breathe is not something that organisms typically compete over. I don't have to try and breathe faster than someone else to be able to get the oxygen. But things like food, if you have 5 people and you have 3 candy bars, then people have to compete to see who gets those candy bars. Or if there's a limited number of mates, so these 2 bighorn sheep here are most likely competing with each other to see who's going to get to mate with the females in that area. The cheetah and the lion here are probably fighting over some territory, or there's possibly some food in the area that they're fighting over as well. And then mostly what we're taking a look at are symbiotic relationships, or these longer term relationships. So a symbiosis, if you did your definitions yesterday, is a close long-term relationship between organisms where at least one of them benefits. So in a symbiotic relationship, we may have organisms that have a relationship where they both benefit, maybe only one of them benefits, but in every case, at least one of the organisms will benefit from the relationship. Otherwise, there's no need for it. They wouldn't be in a relationship at all. And typically, these are longer term things. So this wouldn't be a one-time chance encounter. This would be where these two organisms kind of work together all the time in nature. So the first one we're going to take a look at is mutualism. And in mutualism, both organisms benefit from the relationship. So if you think about the word mutual, if you enter a mutual agreement with someone else, that's an agreement where both people are going to benefit from that agreement. So in mutualism, both organisms are benefiting. So when we fill that out on the worksheet tomorrow, you'll be using pluses, minuses, and zeros. A plus means that the organism benefits, a minus means that it's harmed, and a zero means it doesn't help it or hurt it. So in mutualism, that would be a plus-plus relationship because both organisms benefit from that. So we have a bunch of examples here you can kind of take a look at. If you want to look any of these up, you can. Some of them are pretty easy ones that you maybe already know. Clownfish and sea anemone, I chose that for the picture. Again, that's a relationship that a lot of people know, where the clownfish is getting protected by the sea anemone, and the clownfish is providing food. So they're helping each other out. They're both getting something out of that relationship. Commensalism. And commensalism, one organism benefits from the relationship and the other one is unaffected. So in commensalism, one organism is going to gain something and the other one, it doesn't get helped, doesn't get hurt, just doesn't really affect it at all. So if we look at this bird's nest in a tree here, the bird is benefiting by having a place to build its nest that's up off the ground, but the tree isn't helped, it's not hurt. It's kind of not a big deal either way for the tree. Barnacles on a whale, same kind of thing. You know, the barnacles have a place to hang out and they're getting food as the whale swims around. Doesn't help the whale, doesn't hurt the whale. In parasitism, one organism is going to benefit from the relationship while the other organism is harmed. So we have a mosquito on a human here, and the mosquito is getting food, and it harms the human. You know, you get that red itchy bump, that kind of thing. Now, the difference between parasitism and predation is typically the parasite's not trying to kill the host. You know, mosquito is not trying to kill the people because it wants more blood. It wants you to be around. It wants you to stay alive. So typically with something like predation, the predator is trying to kill the prey, and with parasitism, in that interaction, the parasite's harming the organism, but it's not necessarily killing it. So ticks on cats or dogs, mosquitoes in humans, roundworms in dogs, you know, and some of these things can lead to eventually the organism dying, but that's not the initial goal for the parasite. So that is kind of everything we have for today with those different types of interactions. And again, tomorrow I will have a sheet posted for you. There'll be some videos to watch or some descriptions about different relationships, and you'll have to decide which organism is benefiting, and then if the other organism is benefiting, if it's not affected or if it's harmed, and then what example you think that might be. And then Friday will kind of wrap that all up and kind of put this topic on the back burner. We'll keep on moving. Again, email me if you have any questions. Let me know how things are going, and we will go from there. See you later.